Welcome back to Ghostly Talk. This is Scott L.
This is Amber.
Oh, look who's back.
Hey!
Decided to come down here and get some work done, huh?
I'm sorry. I've had to work. I have a part-time job, and I was stuck working a ton, Scott.
Yeah, regardless.
A ton.
Regardless of popular belief out there on the streets, the mean streets, we don't make a living doing this show. Doing this show.
No, we had someone retire, and so I had to take some extra nights and all that. So that's why. And our normal night to record is Tuesday night, and I had to work. Yeah,
that's usually when we do this thing. And
yeah.
So I held it up.
You did.
I held it up. We had some fun. I think you got. Hey guys, we're not out of the water yet because I think there's some other times. There's a few dates coming up here. I think you are not going to be around for either. So you just get me. I hope you're really excited about that.
Yeah, there's another one where I have to do the one single library talk I'm doing this year in public with humans all in the same room breathing.
Are you going to wear a mask?
No, I won't be able to talk like I do and wear a mask. I'll die. I have no problem wearing a mask, like just sitting there doing stuff. But the way I talk during an hour presentation, I don't own a comfortable mask to do that. Like, just don't.
Yeah.
So no.
We had a lot of fun with Cheryl Lynn Carter having a conversation tonight with her. Been meaning to get her on the show for a while, and she has a book called Dimensions, Mysterious Triangles of the U.S. And I said this during our discussion. I thought this was super. I just think this is. And maybe I am wrong. It's my observation, but I think this may be a bit of a neglected topic surrounding the paranormal. I don't think we talk about it that much. We've talked about it that much on this show.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily neglected, but like you said on the show, it's sort of it's a larger topic that encompasses a lot of elements of the paranormal and not always just one. Because we know how there's a lot of people that just like to research ghosts.
Yeah.
And people that just like to research Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And then the UFOs. And these areas that are all across the world, these mysterious triangle, like high strangeness areas, often have elements of every single weird thing going on. So, and you mentioned too that if you want to really thoroughly research a lot of these places, you have to travel to them.
Yeah, you do.
And sort of get your hands dirty and take a look at the place with your own eyes and get a feel for it.
Yeah.
And feel the energy and all that good stuff. So,
yeah. I'll fix that. But no, yeah, and I think that's why I said that. But we do the Stairway Spirits thing. We talk about that here. It's part of Ghostly Talk kind of, and those are kind of a different but same idea. They're places of power. I think I believe that stairways are places of power.
When I was going up the stairs today, I thought how nice it would be to have one of those little side buckets that take you up. Can we get one?
No.
like the old people get them, and it's a little chair that just goes up.
I'm starting to feel that way now, though.
It'd be really useful with the laundry
basket.
basket.
I'm doing like one step at a time now. I'm not going dum 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 dum.
That's because you cripple yourself when you work out every day.
Yeah, but I've been doing that a lot more lately. I've been doing like.
So you need the little bucket that goes up the stairs too.
I don't want the bucket.
Let's get the bucket.
But stairways are places of power like that though too. They're kind of the same idea. I think. I think they are something. I mean, I don't think they're as encompassing as like the Bermuda Triangle we talk about a little bit.
No, like everyone just disappears on this one particular staircase.
No, I don't think it's quite that dramatic.
Cheryl Lynn Carter is a psychic medium, remote viewer, and one of the founding members of Project PSI Institute. To date, they have rescued 345 missing children, closed 21 cold cases, and shut down 19 human trafficking rings. Having her first paranormal experience at age 4 built the foundation for becoming a paranormal and historical researcher for the past 20 years. Cheryl is an experiencer, a member of MUFON and CE-5, and she has served as a consultant for Thomas Conwell's book, They Are Here, Central U.S. UFOs. She's also an author of multiple books, including the one we discussed on the show, Dimensions, Mysterious Triangles of the U.S.
Talk.
excited about tonight's guest because we have Cheryl Lynn Carter with us.
Yes.
And one of the topics we're going to be exploring are mysterious triangles of the U.S.
Well, it's off of her book, Dimensions,
Yes.
Mysterious Triangles of the U.S.
And I'm excited about this because us here in Michigan, we allegedly
Surrounded by water.
well, we have our own Bermuda Triangle in Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And also, remember years ago when we went on that weekend quick trip to Massachusetts and our buddy took us on a tour of the Bridgewater Triangle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to exploring the mysterious world of weird triangles and all the strange phenomena that goes on within them. So welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yes, it's very cool to have you here. Now, this book just got released, The Dimensions, the Mysterious Triangles of the U.S., just got released to Amazon like this week or something like that. Am I correct?
Right.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Been working on it a long time.
How long have you been working on it?
Probably 6 months.
6 months. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the first thing to get things rolling here, and I thought about this, a couple days ago, and in the world of, I guess, what we call the blanket, the paranormal or the fringe, I think mysterious triangles or mysterious places of power, and I could be wrong on this, so correct me if I am, but I think this may be an area that may be a hair bit neglected, I think. You don't see too many people really talking about, like really diving into this and writing. I mean, I'm sure there's books out there, but it seems like there's just more focus on like ghosts and aliens and stuff like that, and less, I think, focus on mysterious triangles of the U.S., mysterious triangles like you're talking about here. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I absolutely agree because some people go, they like to stay with the paranormal. I like to dabble into everything because I'm also a member of MUFON, and I like looking for Bigfoot. Like all this, and yeah, people know about the Bermuda Triangle. When I start telling them we have one in Michigan, people in Michigan don't even know it.
Yeah.
And we need to explore more things. We're missing out on. If you just have tunnel vision, you're missing out on a whole lot.
Well, yeah, I think people are focused really on, I think maybe one of the barriers to entry, Cheryl, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, is when you're studying places like mysterious triangles or just places of power, weird places, right? Let's just say that. I think the barrier to entry may be a little higher because, ultimately you may have to travel a bit more. You may have to invest more time into a project like this as opposed to, well, maybe I'm wrong because you have to travel to haunted houses, don't you?
Sure, absolutely. Look how many hours do we travel to go to places, sometimes 2 days to get to a location.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think maybe that may be one of the things that keeps people away from this. Also, obviously the Bermuda Triangle, and I'll say this flat out, growing up, that was one of those things that just really scared the heck out of me. The Bermuda Triangle just really freaked me out for some reason.
And I felt like when you went to the library, there was always a little kid's version of like something written about the Bermuda Triangle. You wouldn't find something on like demonic possession or whatever, but there'd always be like Bigfoot and the Bermuda Triangle. Well,
yeah, the Bermuda Triangle, and that's what I think that's the case too. And maybe for me it seemed like when I was growing up, the Bermuda Triangle, and we're not going to talk all night about the Bermuda Triangle, I promise you. But the Bermuda Triangle was it was talked a lot about. It seemed like there was lots of books on the Bermuda Triangle growing up. There were documentaries on the Bermuda Triangle. There was a handful of movies on the Bermuda Triangle, and they all had the same ending. Like, okay, well, if you go into this thing, you just disappear.
You don't come out.
And that, I think, really freaked me out. So maybe that's another barrier to entry we have why you don't see a lot of stories on this or books on this subject, is that frankly people may just be a little too like, okay, ghosts are one thing. Like if you see a ghost, well, that's wild. I saw a ghost, but so I went to Bermuda Triangle to test this theory, and well, never saw him again.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's a bit weird, but it's an interesting subject nonetheless. I think that's the whole point of it. What you got into here. I think this is kind of a cool area of what we call the paranormal. I mean, and I guess the main thing I want to ask you is, what got you into this? What ultimately got you into going down this path to get, that ultimately have a book for yourself behind your back?
Well, like I said, I've been researching the paranormal, investigating for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm a member of MUFON, so I like all this high strangeness. And when I found out that we have a Michigan triangle, I started delving into that. And then I said, well, there must be other ones in the United States. So I start searching for other things too.
Yeah.
So then a few years ago, my friends in Illinois invited me to come go exploring with them to Cahokia Mounds in Illinois, which is part of the triangle. And I was hooked.
So, and let's talk about this Michigan, because it's been a little while for me, and I'm a bit rusty on this. Can we talk a little bit about what we have? They call it Michigan's Bermuda Triangle. I forgot exactly where it's located. I mean, where it's actually located.
Down by
in the water.
Benton Harbor.
Benton Harbor, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the points, yeah. And then it goes up to Wisconsin.
Yeah, and then over to Ludington.
Yes.
So it's got like basically the bottom half of Lake Michigan. But
right.
I know I have a little vintage paperback by Jay Gorley, who wrote a book called The Great Lakes Triangle. And I know like the big thing was like the Thomas Hume boat disappearing, forget what year. And then like one of the planes, what year was it? Like in the 50s or something? One of the planes had disappeared and they only found like West Airlines Flight 2501. And it just vanished and they just found parts of the wreckage. And I remember that there was an airplane on the cover of his book, and that was one of the biggest things. So what did you find that stuck out? Because I know people will say, well, that was just a heavily used trade route when people used boats to deliver goods to Wisconsin, down to the Chicago area, back to, Ludington, which was a huge lumber area. And same when air flight came in. But what did you notice that, if anything, that stood out that possibly could make things more mysterious in that part of Lake Michigan?
Actually, Lake Michigan has more missing planes and ships than the Bermuda Triangle. Like 10 times more.
So all this time I've been worried about the Bermuda Triangle, and we have it sitting right next door to us, basically.
Yes, we do. And there's other reports, ships are missing. There is a report of a ship that it came into the land, but all the people were gone from the ship. Where'd they go? The ship was fine. It didn't have any damage on it, but the people just disappeared.
So it is kind of interesting how places like the Michigan Triangle, which, how Cheryl pointed out, has way more accidents than the Bermuda, but yet the Bermuda one was always the big one. But still, in your research, though, did you find something besides just that data, the fact that there was more? Was there anything that seemed a little more strange, I guess, compared to with our Michigan Triangle versus like others?
Well, actually, there's lots of UFO sightings. You probably know that.
Okay.
But actually, I didn't plan on having the book go a certain way.
Yeah.
But as I was gathering information from everyone, they all have one thing in common: UFOs.
Ah, yes.
Every one of them.
So, going down that path for a second, all these places, I'm probably giving it the wrong name. I say places of power or strange places, but you're seeing a direct correlation with UFOs, you said.
Yeah.
It's got me dumbfounded, frankly, because I wonder why.
Well,
that's all I can say.
I didn't expect it. I'm going, wow.
So what kind of things did you notice about these places? Like, what, you can say UFOs, but what aspects of the UFO phenomena seem to be more prevalent in these spots?
Well, just sightings, and then there'll be people that were also abducted, people missing. I don't hear about that in the Bermuda Triangle.
No, well, basically, Bermuda Triangle, you more or less, from what I understand, you just disappear. But, I heard, and that's just all conjecture, because people say they saw so many things in the Bermuda Triangle back and forth. And obviously none of the stories are substantiated at all. We can't really verify any of that stuff. One question I did have for you, though, Cheryl, too, along with this, you said you went to Chicago. Were you able to, like, in the book itself? I mean, I don't know how many actual locations there are that you cover, but were you able to actually visit every one of those every one of the locations in the book?
Oh, I wish. I've been to two of them. No, Cahokia Mounds is actually in southern Illinois, in Collinsville. It's way down the southern tip of Illinois.
Talk about, you said Cahokia Mounds?
Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit, will you please?
It was just so cool. It was the largest and most influential settlements in the Mississippian culture. They think that it was built in 1000 AD. And they believe the construction was related to a supernova that occurred between April 30th and May 1st in the year 1006 AD in the constellation Lupus of the Milky Way.
So, wait, hang on. Let me get this straight. They say it was born from that, you said?
That's when these people constructed it.
Oh, okay. So that mound was constructed for a supernova.
Oh, it wasn't one mound. There's 190 mounds there.
Oh my God! How tall are these mounds? If I may ask.
The one that I just love is Monk's Mound. It's 150 feet tall, and you can walk up steps. There's 154 steps to the top.
So these are more or less their step. We're not calling them pyramids. We're calling them mounds.
No, yeah.
But they're steps. Or is it just when you say steps?
This one has steps. The other ones don't.
Yeah, they're just
some are burial mounds, some are ceremonial mounds. Some are tall, some are shorter.
So they made 190 of them, you said.
Yes. It's a whole town. Like we would see a town, yes.
I wonder what the number 190 means, or if it just maybe, who knows if that's all that were originally made,
right,
too.
Some could be
I'm
destroyed.
sure there were more because as it's a very small town, and it's a state park now, and as I was driving through the town, you could see mounds behind a gas station or mounds behind this business, like smaller ones. I mean, I'm sure there were mounds all over the place. This is all that's left.
And people live around these things? Like you said, it's the whole town, right? So the state park is by itself, but as you're coming through town, you will see mounds there. So yeah, obviously the town is next to the state park. They're not intertwined together or anything like that. It's separate.
But but there were probably mounds and people they just bulldoze them. I'm going to build a building here. Who knows how many there were.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, 190 right now, but yeah. I mean, now obviously it's a state park, so I mean, all those mounds I assume are protected now. You can't bulldoze anything, but maybe before that, at one time, they were getting bulldozed.
Well, yeah, because it's like a farming community, so the farmers,
Yeah, they want flat land,
right?
To obviously to farm with. Go ahead, Amber.
I was going to say that happened a lot in a lot of locations, especially Michigan, where a lot of our early mounds that existed from the Native Americans are just gone because of farming, or they would just let people come in, open them up, grab like the bones and the artifacts and stuff that these people were buried with, and they didn't care. There was no like appreciation or reverence for the fact that these were like a lot of them were burial mounds. So it is kind of great, like places like Cahokia are preserved. Now, with that being one of your locations in your book, you said that that's a triangle. How is it just the mounds area, or does it kind of extend beyond?
A triangle. It's called the Big Lick Triangle, which is southern part of Illinois.
Okay.
That's just one of the places there.
Okay. And did you ever go to did you write about the Bridgewater Triangle?
Yes, I did.
Massachusetts. Yeah, that was a cool place when we went there. I mean, we were there just kind of being tourists and everything, but it was neat. And like so much goes on in this area. And I know they have like ghosts, strange cryptids, UFOs, the whole like paranormal spectrum of stuff that happens. And so when you were exploring these locations, what stories stood out the most? What became the most memorable for you?
Just the energy. You could feel a different energy there. Like when we went to the top of Monk's Mound, I was with a friend who was there before, and he goes, "Come over and stand here in the center." there's a huge vortex. You could feel the swirling air. It's about 12 inches wide, and it goes all the way down through that mound.
So you sense this kind of energy when you would go to different locations? Did the energy feel the same, or was it different in each place? Was there something similar?
Yeah, something similar, because you could tell, like when you're investigating, when you go to a certain place and you're in a certain room and you feel some different energy. That's how it was there. But it was always positive energy. Wasn't anything bad.
Yeah.
And that could be a reason why they built things in certain places too, because they felt the energy there too.
I think across the whole planet, that's something that intrigues me, especially when you look at ley lines and how certain things are built, like the Great Pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, other stuff, and how all of this energy seems to intersect and cross, and then these important things that are now part of our historical past that are really important to us are all along these lines.
That's going to be my next book I'm working on. It's called Earth Energies. It's about ley lines.
How is suppose that these, let's say these builders, these engineers, we can call them, how did they, how do you think they tapped into that, though, to know where to build at? If we talk about this this positive energy, this good energy, how do they know where to build at, assuming that that's the idea, that they build on ley lines and stuff like that? I'm just wondering how that whole idea came about, or, and maybe I'm kind of reaching for the stars as far as the question's concerned, but I'm wondering how we would know where to put stuff like that at it. I guess that's the question.
Yeah, that's why it says it in the new book that I'm writing.
Yeah,
it's like you find this everywhere, and they've got things lined up in certain ways so that they line up with the different phases of the sun and the moon. How did they know this stuff?
Yeah.
Did someone come from another place and teach us? We don't know.
Well, that's a question I think has been asked a long time. We can fall back on the obvious example, the Great Pyramids and stuff like that, and that's been an idea that's been postulated by several different authors and researchers. That and I guess I can stand by that too. I've been saying this for a long time. I think I am convinced at this point in my life that people did build the pyramids, for example. The monumental task it was to take to build those massive structures. I think people built them. I'm 100% convinced. However, I do think that they may have had some help or influence, not just help, but influence, right? From maybe some other people, maybe some other people that didn't live here natively, let's say, on this planet, right? And they couldn't, and that doesn't mean that they were some super advanced race of, I think some people make it out this idea like, well, these were just these primitives, digging, drawing pictures in dirt with sticks, and they were nothing until the super advanced race came down here and taught them everything. I don't think it's even that dramatic. I think that there was some intelligence on both sides. It may have not been like very lopsided, like a lot of people like to describe it, where there was a super intelligent, super advanced race that came and taught us everything we know. I think it may have been a sharing of technologies, possibly, right?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I do too, because I think that, there was a lot of intelligence way back then, and maybe we kind of lost it along the way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like the lost technology theory.
But I think my point though is I think it was a bit more even. Maybe not completely even. I'm sure, look, if some race at that time 5,000 years ago had the technology to fly across space at a great rate of speed, fast enough to get here, let's say, from very far away, then I'm sure that they have a few tricks in their pocket, right? But I think, that we weren't, as a race, the ancient Egyptians, for example, were not totally dead in the dirt. They had their own thing going on, and I think it may have just been a sharing, like I said, a sharing of ideas and influence too. Like, we'll try something like this. Let's see how this works. And I think, that's where, again, there may have been some intelligence there that we don't understand. And you just said also, Cheryl, that, I think a lot of stuff has been lost. I think we have lost tech. There's ideas and technology that may have been lost over time. And it could literally be buried for all we know right now. We don't know. But I do think it wasn't so lopsided. That's my point. Amber?
Well, no, because look how they were so intelligent enough to know how to build things that still last, and our buildings falling apart, and they have roads that are still there, and look at our roads. I mean, yeah, they had intelligence. And I'm not saying that somebody taught them all that. They learned how to do this.
Yeah. They learned how to do that. Like I said, go ahead.
I was going to say, our roads in Michigan don't last a winter.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what's horrible. Yeah, and then you got the Great Pyramid still standing there, like,
Well, and I can go I can go into a million conspiracy theories on that, but I don't think
on the roads.
Well, no, I can talk all day about the roads, but I mean, as far as I think structures back then. Talking about the pyramids for a second. I don't think people understood anything but built to last. There was no other idea. It's like, well, we're going to build this thing. We're going to build this so it never falls apart. It never gets destroyed. I don't think there was any other real idea that people had in those times. When you made a structure, it was designed to never be able to be destroyed unless there was a major cataclysmic disaster. We're talking major earthquake that would split the ground. We're talking about major things. I don't think that idea of under engineering things was even thought of back then. It was just it was unfathomable. It was just you build it and then the Whitney down in Detroit. We talked to the guy about the Whitney, right? That was one of the we have this structure here in Detroit, Cheryl, called the Whitney. It's a hotel.
I've been there.
Yeah, you've been there.
Investigated there.
Yeah, and the story goes with that they actually tried to level that building. They tried to level it, right? Now, and I don't have all the stories, but I know the original person who built it, and I don't know all the names, but he was so paranoid of fire burning down his house that he basically built the house out of iron girders, right?
A lot of people did that back then.
Yeah. So when they went to they talked about leveling the building and putting something else up there, the demolition contractors came and looked at it and said, we can't do it. We can do it, but A, it'll take a very long time, and B, it will be a monumental cost to tear this down. It's almost not worth tearing it down. You might as well just try to find some way to repurpose the building, and that's what they did, obviously, right?
No, it's a beautiful building.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
And I think it looks perfect. And for those listening, it's this stunning granite mansion on Woodward in downtown Detroit.
Yeah,
one of the former mansions of when back in the day you travel down Woodward and it'd be nothing but just giant mansion from all the people that were the empire builders of Detroit. And there's very few of these left, and that's one of them. And now it's a restaurant, and plus because it's got a haunted story behind it, ghosts and all that fun
cool
stuff. There's a ghost bar upstairs.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool place to check out.
Yeah.
Beautiful stained glass windows.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous building, but again, it just goes back to that point that that was tearing it down. Well, that was built, I think, with a different purpose. It was built out of paranoia more.
Yeah,
but still, it was over-engineered basically, and I think a lot of the Great Pyramids were over-engineered also for a purpose. The idea of them falling apart, I don't think that anybody had that in their mind when they were building those things.
No. And there's been earthquakes, and I know some of the original.
I'm talking like a major cataclysmic disaster. It would take something like that to wipe them out. Something major, like a earth-ending event, basically. That would wipe them out, I think. But so
and the place is very haunted too.
The pyramids? Or are you talking about the Whitney?
The Whitney.
Oh, the Whitney. Yeah, the Whitney. Totally. Yeah, like I said, I think we've all been there. It sounds.
I don't remember my trip to the Whitney because I had 3 drinks from that ghost bar we had so strong. And
you did have that. Yeah. You
didn't see the elevator open and some spirit comes out?
Nope.
No,
if I did, I wouldn't have remembered.
Yeah, Amber had a rough night that night.
I had a rough night. No, that was
not.
Had
a rough night that night.
Nope.
I got to investigate in the building out back. That was the servants' quarters.
We talked to some people about, I've been there a couple of times. I've talked to some people there, and we actually got to go back there that same night before we went to the Ghost Bar. We walked around the servants' quarters. It was very cool. So we've been able to go back there also. One of the other questions I had for you concerning the book, Dimensions, Mysterious Triangles of the U.S., and I know we talked about one already, but I want to get into this a little bit more if that's cool. One of the things you said, there were some similarities with these sites that you've researched, and obviously the big one we know is UFOs and stuff like that, right? I'm wondering if there's any other similarities that you can think of that you may have seen from site to site here. I mean, it don't have to be exact, but I mean something maybe more loose. Did you see any other patterns, I guess, from looking, researching site to site for the book?
Sometimes maybe there's like a lot of cover up when something happens by our government.
Ooh, in what way?
Like when a plane disappears or something, and they're out searching for it, and all of a sudden the government goes, "Oh, we're calling the search off."
Wow. That this kind of I want to side kind of dovetail into something, because in your bio it mentions that you have worked with a lot of missing children cases. Yes. Through your psychic medium abilities and remote viewing, and this just made me think of that. How does something like this? Okay, so there's a missing child. Obviously, police probably use this a lot more than they would care to admit. Am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when someone comes, detective, police officers, whatever, come to something like what you do. So let me go back and look at this a minute. You were a founding member of Project PSI, or PSI Institute. And
yes.
Was this the institute that you worked through to help find these missing children?
Yes.
Okay. Could you explain that a little bit?
There's only 8 of us.
Okay.
And we're all in different parts of the United States. So I've actually only met 2 of the other people. But we usually our leader finds a missing person or sees a cold case, and then he messages all of us, and then we're supposed to call him back with our input, and then he puts it all together. And he's the one that actually contacts the police, because if I went to the police and say I saw something, they go away, psychic, Well, that's what happens, So.
Yeah.
But he's got an understanding with them that they know that we're legitimate.
Well, and the fact that when you see numbers that you've helped rescue, or this group has helped rescue 345 children, closed 21 cold cases, and shut down 19 human trafficking rings. So do you guys kind of just sit and remote view these things and then kind of give the information to the police and say, look, we saw this, do what you want with it, check it out if you want? Or does it usually run the other way, where they come to you guys sort of secretly under the table?
They don't come to us. That's right. Says we have to go to them.
Okay.
And we put all our information together, because I might get something and somebody else gets another part of the puzzle, and somebody else gets it, and we put it together, And I remember one of our first cases, there was a girl that was missing. I think she was like 18, 19.
Yeah.
She was missing in Romania. I've never been there. I don't know anything about Romania, but I remote viewed there, and I saw a section of town, looks like an old section, cobblestone streets. She's walking along, and all of a sudden she comes to an alleyway, and this guy grabbed her, and he took her into either an old factory or a warehouse. All I could see was the inside. It was dirty. There was machinery in there, so it was all dusty, so it wasn't being used anymore. And I could hear a train whistle. Now, somebody else saw the color of the building. We put all this together, and we sent the information over there, and we found her. And there was also another girl in there, too, because it was a human trafficking place.
That's so disturbing.
So disturbing.
And that's like one of the most vilest things you can do to other humans, besides just flat out murder, is picking up little kids and human trafficking.
Well, and it's something I think that's starting to finally, especially in the last couple of years, I hear more. You hear more and more about human trafficking and things like that. I think it is vile and disgusting. It's really. I'm not going to repeat the things I think that should happen to these people if they're apprehended on this show. Just do the math. But I think it's starting to really. There's more of a microscope being put on this now. I think there's more focus being put on it now, and I think that's very good because this is something that really. And I know you can never really ever stop something, but this is human trafficking, especially, is something that really, really, really needs to be.
And it's been around for a long time, but we're just starting to focus on it now.
Yeah,
and making people aware.
Well, and I think that's a big thing. I mean, not only with this type of work that you're doing with that, it's not only just solving the cases, it's also getting that awareness out there too, and that has to go all the way back to the home.
Exactly.
And the children have to know what's going on. Everybody has to be, as much as I hate to say it, everybody has to be hyper vigilant about things like this now.
Right, because there's like so many teenage girls and boys that when we're remote viewing looking for them, we see that they met somebody on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's how and then they meet them somewhere and they end up in human trafficking. It happens a lot. We see this a lot when we're doing this.
I don't think meeting people, I know it's... This is funny, but not funny. Has meeting people from the internet ever? I mean, I know now that it's pretty commonplace. It's a common practice,
sure.
Right? Because I think the internet and social media and all these things it's so interwoven into our lives now that you practically can't tell the difference between the two. But just 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, the idea of meeting someone that you met on the internet was still kind of like. Oh, okay. So my thing still is like, okay, has this always ever been really a good idea?
Has it been normalized?
Has it ever really been a good idea to do this? Because and I think it's a bit more normal now. I mean, there's more there. We all know there's way more better people than there are bad people, right? So, and most people are just regular people that want to meet somebody or to date or to hang out with, or they have common interests. There's a lot of people that I've bumped into, like, hey, I know you from Facebook or whatever, because
exactly,
nice to meet you. How are you? But like, my thing is just, it's funny but not funny. But like, has this ever really been a good idea? Meeting people on the internet, and clearly,
but a long time ago. I mean, now we see pictures of people, videos, see what they're doing. A long time ago, you're just like you're talking to a person. You didn't even see their face.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's the thing. Yeah,
yep.
It was very, very different.
It's a whole lot different. You can kind of check people out a little bit.
Yep, it was just like a creepy chat room in the dark corner of AOL.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah,
you're right about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The technology is totally different.
Yeah, and if someone's legit putting factual pictures of themselves, especially if you're on a legit like dating site, and more people go to public places to meet, like smarter places. Right. So I know I work at a library, and there's been some people that have been there, and that's where they meet their people on like, their dating sites at the public library.
Well, that's a good idea.
It is kind of a good idea because you're not in a bar situation. Someone's not going to get like loaded. So I don't know, but yeah. The internet.
The internet. Cheryl, I want to thank you for taking some time to talk to us tonight. This was really, really cool. Again, the book is Dimensions, Mysterious Triangles of the U.S., and it can be found on Amazon now, correct?
Yes.
Is there any other place we can go? Do you have a website? Anything we can point people to?
I have a website, but you don't order the book from the website. It's CherylLynnCarter.com.
Okay.
I have a lot of pictures of my investigations on there. Excellent.
Cool. We'll make sure we link that up when we post the show.
Okay.
Thank you again. Love to do it again sometime with you, Cheryl.
Okay. Sounds good.
Ghostly Talk!
Version 3.0. Did they ever sound so good?